The Chicago Bears can't land offensive lineman Ryan Bates after the Buffalo Bills matched the offer sheet. And with that, welcome back guys to another episode of the German Bear Podcast, and today we want to look at the Bears O-line situation right now and potential scenarios to improve it. Justin Fields' development should be the main priority this offseason, and the Bears lost and gained some offensive linemen, but the position group is still far away from being better than last season. So let's take a deeper dive into how Ryan Poles can still improve it with now limited free agents available. And we first want to look at the Bears' situation right now in the offensive line, and let's look at the actual projected starters. Left tackle will be Tevin Jenkins, left guard Cody Whitehair, center Lucas Patrick, who we got from Green Bay in free agency. Right guard is projected Dakota Dozier, who we got in free agency, who played for Minnesota before, and right tackle is projected to be Larry Borom. The rest of the roster is actually looking pretty thin. You have Sam Mustipher backing up Lucas Patrick at the center position, and then it's just a roster or some guys that fill up the backup roles that won't have an impact actually when the season comes by, like Dieter Iserland, Willie Wright, Tyrone Wheatley Jr., and Latavius Simmons. I don't think these guys will actually make the roster even. So it's a very tough spot right now. There are some players I like in the offensive line. Tevin Jenkins, I'm still very high on him. It's unfair to judge him after last season. It was a terrible offense. He did not have any time to prepare for the season, actually. Like, he missed all of the training camp, and when he got thrown in, I think it was it the Green Bay game? I'm not sure which game it was, but Jason Peters got out. Tevin Jenkins saw his first action in the NFL, and the Bears did not put him in a great situation, especially not Matt Nagy, and the way they handled him in the first game was a very wrong approach. He did not have any help. He had to play on an island right away, one-on-one against elite pass rushers in the NFL. And I think Tevin Jenkins, with now the offseason, he can still recover from that back injury that he had, that problems that he had, and he will improve. Like, he will now have a training camp to prepare for a season. And I think Tevin Jenkins is one heck of a player. He has so much potential. He has the strength, athleticism, all that he needs to have as a great tackle in the NFL. And I really believe that he will be one at one day. Cody Whitehair is a candidate that was rumored to be cut in some way this offseason, but now that we missed on Ryan Bates, I think you have to keep Cody Whitehair. You're not finding a better replacement for him. Center Lucas Patrick, I think we're pretty much good at that position. I think Lucas Patrick has still some areas that he has to show that he is the guy that will play center, actually, because he's not unproven, I would say, but he still played in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers gets the ball out very, very fast, and he had some starts there, but still, it's not a signing where you say, oh my God, he is a top option. But I still think Lucas Patrick is a really good player that has mean, angry play style and fits the Bears offense very much, but still not incredible what we're looking at right now. At right guard, Dakota Dozier is projected to be the starter. We don't have anybody else right now that is better than him, and that is what scares me the most. Like, if Dakota Dozier is the starter going into the season, we have a huge problem, because then Justin Fields won't make a leap. He won't show any development. He will not be good, and then we have more problems than we had going into the season. Dakota Dozier is not a starter in the NFL. Like, he started in 2020 for the Vikings, and then you think, oh, that's good. But season after that, 2021, he suddenly spent all of the year on their practice squad. So that just shows that he had one lucky year where he got the opportunity, but that guy is not great. He's an okay backup, but not more. And then at right tackle, we're projected with Larry Borom, so I think he's very talented, but I don't know where to put him. It's that conversation Ryan Poles held in one of his press conferences as well. He doesn't know where he wants to line up Tevin Jenkins and Larry Borom yet, and it will be interesting how they want to line them guys up. But it's still lots of room for improvement right now in the offensive line. So it will be a very interesting time coming up for us Bears fans. The Bears missed out on Ryan Bates, who was 25, and the Bears, I think, wanted to give him a 4-year deal up to around $17 million, which would have been a pretty good deal. But at the same time, I'm kind of glad we did not sign him to that kind of a contract, because Ryan Bates is a good player. Don't get me wrong. He has a great play style. He has a high motor. He's a very good teammate by a lot of his former Bills players that played with him. And I don't know, I would have been happy with him with the Bears, but at the same time, He started only 4 games in his career and 2 playoff games, so basically 6 games his entire career. He is somewhat unproven, and it would have been a big risk to sign a guy to a 4-year deal, and if it doesn't pan out, you have a bigger problem. So Ryan Bates would have been great, but I don't know. There are some veteran guys still on the free agent market that I still like, so let's actually move on to that. Let's take a look at the remaining free agents right now and talk about who the Bears could potentially bring in. I mentioned some of these guys already in my updated free agents video, so feel free to check that out. But today we want to dive a bit more into the O-line position right now and what the market actually offers, because I think the main focus in the draft will still be offensive line, and there's so many great ones this season. But you need to add some veteran presence that can start right away. You might draft some guys in the 3rd or 5th, 6th round as well, but those guys may need to develop. So get a true starter right away. Maybe pick one in the 2nd round, and then the O-line is looking way better. So the first guy I want to talk about is Dwayne Brown. I talked about him in the updated free agents video as well, and he will be 37 going into the season, but he's a guy that is a very experienced veteran presence, and he's still playing at a very high level. I think he's the best tackle available on the market right now. He might be cheap. I don't know if he wants to go to a contender, but I think he's a guy that could potentially be with the Bears and be okay with playing there. And I think Dwayne Brown still offers great veteran play. He will help Tevin Jenkins and Larry Borom a lot, and he will be one heck of an option. I will love him. A similar guy that we have to talk about now is actually Jason Peters as well. He played for the Bears last season. He is over 40 now, so very old, much older than Dwayne Brown even, but Jason Peters played very good last season. I think, or not very good, but pretty solid last season, offered good veteran presence, good play at times. He struggled also. That's by no means something I want to hide, but he played solid. He provided good tackle play, and he has the experience to really help Tevin and Larry Borom once again. I mean, he already played with them last season. They have somewhat of a connection, so I wouldn't mind bringing back Jason Peters on a 1-year deal if he still wants to play. Former Browns center J.C. Tretter is also very intriguing. He's only 31, which is still okay, and he's a guy that locked over 1,000 plus quality snaps last season, and that is for the 5th straight year, which is absolutely insane. He's absolutely still an above average starter at the position, and I like him a lot. That would potentially mean that Lucas Patrick has to move back to guard, but that's not a problem. I mean, he played that in Green Bay and started at that position for several games, so I don't see the problem there. And J.C. Tretter would improve the O-line immediately. Like, he has a lot of experience. He's playing at a very high level still. He can call all the plays, and I don't know. He's just a guy that I would love the Bears to add, especially on a, let's say, 2 to 3 year deal. I mean, a center can still play up there in age. I think he can still provide good play until 34, 35. I don't know. Depends also on how long he wants to play. But I think J.C. Tretter is still a very good guy, and I would love him on the Bears. Moving back to the tackle position, a guy we also have to consider now is Eric Fisher. Fisher, the former first-round pick by the Chiefs, spent last season on the Colts. He's now 31 and is coming off of a very bad year. He had a torn Achilles with the Chiefs and then got signed by the Colts, and like I said, did not play great last season, but that might lower his price. And Eric Fisher, if you really can recover, you get a average to maybe slightly an above average starter at a very important position. And if you're looking for a 1-year option that can get you 1 year of okay play that will somewhat protect Justin Fields, I will take a Eric Fisher on a cheap deal though, but I would say he's an okay option, and we have to consider it now. We don't have a lot of other options. The market is not deep anymore, especially the O-line market is shrinking in a hurry. I really want to see Poles do something for the offensive line, so Eric Fisher, I would be okay with him, but he wouldn't be my favorite option. Another offensive tackle we should consider is Riley Reef. He's now 33 and played for the Bengals last season, but he hurt his ankle in mid-December and missed, I think, the rest of the season. I think Reef is an offensive tackle that, for his entire career, provided very, very solid and above-average play, but he never became that franchise tackle. He can give you 1 to 2 good years, I think, and he would solidify the right side of the offensive line. I think he's a true right tackle, but I still would like what he offers to the team. He is that veteran presence once again, and that's something we need at the offensive line right now. I mean, the only guy that provides that right now is probably somewhat Cody Whitehair. I don't know about Lucas Patrick. He has experience, but he's not that long-term starter. Riley Reef is a guy that has lots and lots of starting experience, and I think getting a veteran tackle once again, just like last year, helps these younger tackles like Borum and Tevin Jenkins so much, so I would love this pickup, and he would be probably pretty cheap as well because of his late injury. Another right tackle I want to talk about, and I talked about this guy as well in the updated free agent video, is Daryl Williams, who played for the Bills. He's only 29, and I think and I said that in that video as well, I love his versatility. Like, he offers so much different styles of play. Even though he is best suited at tackle, if you want to, you can stick him at right guard. And he's a guy that constantly made his appearances on the field. He's a guy that started a lot in his career. He has the experience on the field. He hasn't missed a snap in the last 2 seasons for the Bills and has been a very valuable part for them. He just got cut for some cap reasons. But I think he's a guy that's he's probably at the top of my list because he's at a good age with 29. He has a lot of experience. He is durable, so we need a durable player that will actually stay on the field. And I will love this option. I don't know what type of a contract he wants, but I would imagine it is pretty okay price-wise. So Daryl Williams is definitely one of my favorite options, and I would absolutely love this pickup. This is one of the last very good ones left on the market that I would say I would be very happy with the Bears to get him. Then you can draft someone and be very confident. Also, a guy I want to mention once again, like in that updated free agent video, is Ereck Flowers. The guard is only 27, made his name for being a bust in the NFL, but since he changed to guard, he really provided very solid play. He's not that old. He will be 28 going into the season. He can get a more long-term contract and you solidify the guard position. The only thing with him is what's his asking price. Ereck Flowers hasn't gotten signed yet, even though he produced very good the last couple of years, and that could be something related to his asking price. So if he wants too much, I think the right approach would be to still be patient like Ryan Poles has been this whole free agency. And if he takes a cheaper deal with the Bears, I would be super happy, but that's totally depending on the player and his agent. And I don't know if Flowers is willing to take a cheaper contract, but he would provide very good guard play, even with his bad reputation or his name. Moving on, I want to talk about another player just like Riley Reef that played for Cincinnati last season, which is Quinton Spain. The guard is now 30, played for the Titans before, and for his entire career played at a very solid level. And if you want to get a guard that can give you 1 to 2 great years of guard play, that just does his job, doesn't do anything too fancy, but just is reliable and will get the job done, I think Quinton Spain is one of my favorite targets still left on the board. He is 30, so the age isn't a big of a concern for me, and I actually like that option. He wouldn't be too shabby either. And the last guy I want to talk about today is Jermaine Fetty. He is very well known with the Bears. He played for them over the last couple of years. He's only 27, and I think Fetty is a guy that knows a lot of players. I know he's not a fan favorite, but at the moment right now, he might take a very cheap deal going back with the Bears. I think he had some really solid plays. He had his ups, he had his downs with the Bears, but I think he had a better outing than with the Seahawks. And I don't know, if you get him for a very cheap deal, I would be absolutely fine with that. Go into training camp, see who fits best at the tackle spots, Tevin Jenkins, Larry Borum, Jermaine Fetty, or a rookie that we may draft. And then you can evaluate the position and actually choose if you want to put Jermaine Fetty at tackle. He also has experience at guard, or if you want to use him as a swing tackle. So I think Jermaine Fetty is still an option that we have to consider this season, and I would take him on a cheap deal. I don't think that would be the worst option. So those were some names that I wanted to give you guys. It's tough to really evaluate the market right now. There's still other okay options like a Marcus Cannon at tackle, a Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, a Matt Paradise, a Mike Remmers, a Trey Turner, a Billy Price, a Kyle Long is still sitting around in the market. But at the end of the day, guys, it's up to Ryan Poles and Ian Cunningham. Both guys have a lot of O-line experience, and I'm still very optimistic that both guys can find the right player to improve the offensive line. we need to protect Justin Fields. That should be the main priority going into the season, like I said before. It will be interesting what will happen the next couple of days. I will definitely load up another mock draft. Draft season is in full force. If you want to check out the mock draft 1.0 that I uploaded a couple of days ago now. And yeah, guys, that wraps up the episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Like and subscribe if you liked the video. Check out Instagram for the latest news. And as always, guys, bear down.